Hey YouTube, Untamed here. Many of us have seen Kelley Blue Book's top 10 vehicles to buy with the highest resale value. We've seen that list that gets published every single year from KBB. I'm going to highlight that list to you guys real briefly at the start of this video and then mention the reasons why you need to be cautious of that list, because not everything is as it seems when you read through that. Then at the end of this video, most importantly, I'm going to give you guys my personal top 10 vehicles for you to consider buying brand new. I'll do a separate video later on highlighting the top 10 used vehicles that I personally would consider buying with the best residual value. But for today, we're going to focus on what new vehicles that you should consider: cars, trucks, SUVs, you name it. So stick with me. Let's real quickly highlight KBB's top 10. Number one is the 2025 Toyota Tacoma. That has the highest 5-year resale value with 64.1% value being held after 5 years of ownership. Let me explain why that's gimmicky, right? The new 4th generation Toyota Tacoma came out here in 2024. It's only been out for a couple of years now, and well, they're sitting on lots collecting dust right now with large discounts between $6,000 to $9,000 off of MSRP just to try to move that inventory. But even then, dealerships still can't move it. So that resale value is coming into play when you look at the previous generation. The 3rd generation Toyota Tacoma is where that reliability stands, right? We have that 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 that has the resale value. This new turbocharged 4-banger that the new generation Tacoma has, that's not going to offer that same level of peace of mind that the previous generation Tacoma and all Toyota nameplates, Tacoma nameplates have offered in years past. So that right there is really misleading, I would say. Number 2 on KBB's list is the Chevy Corvette. A 2025 Chevy Corvette, they say, will hold over 60% of its value after 5 years of ownership. I find that a little bit misleading too, because had you purchased a C8 Corvette throughout the last couple of years here, you likely paid a markup. When they first came out and they were first introduced with that mid-engine concept, no longer in the front now, that came with a huge markup. So many dealerships were charging $20,000 to $50,000 over MSRP, especially if it was a Z06. So having that residual value now, 60% of its original MSRP after 5 years of ownership, just feels a little misleading. Not to mention, 5 years ago, we had the previous generation Corvette. So is that great resale value because of that previous generation being a little bit more affordable and still being a front engine vehicle? Who knows? Number 3 on the list I find quite comical. It is the Toyota Tundra. So they're saying you should buy a 2025 Toyota Tundra because it'll offer the best residual. That couldn't be further from the truth. People are not buying the new generation Tundra because largely thanks to the large safety recall that was issued on the new platform for the main crankshaft bearing faulty component, right? They say they left debris within the engine during production of so many of their vehicles, causing engine failure ultimately. So because of that, people are not buying the new generation Tundra with any level of confidence right now. The 5-year data that KBB is leveraging dates back to the previous generation Toyota Tundra. That did maintain an excellent residual value because it offered 3 things right from the get-go: reliability, simplicity, and affordability, right? Whereas the new generation, far from it. Just for context, the 2021 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro came at an MSRP right around $54,000 back in 21. Fast forward just 1 year to the new generation, the current generation Tundra, they hiked it up to $72,000 just 1 year later between the two generations. So they overstuffed it to the gills with these creature comforts, technology, overcomplicated platform underneath the hood, a twin-turbo V6, a hybridized twin-turbo V6 for the TRD Pro, and capstone higher trims. People just don't want it. So that data right there, it's not really reliable. Moving to number 4 on KBB's top 10 list is the Toyota 4Runner. For the same exact reasons I just discussed for the Toyota Tundra, we can apply that to the 4Runner here. Because last year in 2024, we saw the last year of the 5th generation Toyota 4Runner that sported the 4-liter naturally aspirated V6 underneath the hood tied to that bulletproof 5-speed automatic transmission. Sure, it's kind of a sluggish vehicle, but most Toyota enthusiasts, they don't buy their Toyotas to have the most modern technology, all the additional creature comforts, the most horsepower and torque. They want reliability, simplicity, and affordability. That all went out the window with the current generation, the new 6th generation 4Runner. Those price tags shot to the moon on this new one. $68,000 for the new TRD Pro and Trail Hunter? No thank you. The previous generation, 5th gen 4Runner TRD Pro, came at a price point right around $55,000 to $57,000, although still high, much less than the current gen. Number 5 on KBB's list is the Ford Bronco. It doesn't say which trim exactly, right? It could be the Bronco Sport, the regular big body Bronco, Sasquatch, Bronco Raptor, you name it. Just says number 5, Ford Bronco. This is largely thanks to the markups, I think, that originally were on these when they first came out. When the Ford Bronco, especially the big body Broncos, first came out, so many people were wildly excited about the Bronco's back. And because of that, a lot of dealerships took advantage of your excitement, right? As they typically do, unfortunately. And they charge $10,000 or more over MSRP. So those large price hikes at the beginning, I think, helped aid the residual value 5 years down the road. So they say 57% of its original MSRP is to be had 5 years after ownership. What say you? KBB's number 6 vehicle on the list may only be applicable to my NBA and NFL viewers out there, but it is the Mercedes-Benz G-Class, the G550 and the G63 AMG. Those SUVs, they're incredible. They're built like tanks, right? But they also come at a pretty astronomical price tag from the get-go. Those MSRPs, much like all vehicles, have hiked up tremendously over the last 5 years. So those price hikes due to inflation largely is what is leading to these high residual values. So right now, if you're gonna go buy a brand new one, you're easily looking at over $200,000 for a G63 AMG in particular. You know, finding one that's a couple years old in the 180 point, maybe $170,000 range, depending on how it's spec'd, you know, that's not too uncommon, and they're still selling, right? So it's a very niche vehicle, but that market, they're still buying them. Number 7 on the list makes a lot more sense. It is the Honda CR-V, right? This is a very popular vehicle, largely thanks to its starting price point and Honda reliability that has always kind of followed the platform and brand at large. That vehicle there is predicted to have about 54.4% maintaining of its original MSRP 5 years down the road. That doesn't shock me, really. It's a very popular vehicle. It's a very affordable, quote-unquote, affordable vehicle to get into. And you see them everywhere on the road for good reason. And number 8 on KBB's list is the Toyota Rav4. This doesn't shock me, and it probably shouldn't shock many of you out there, because the Toyota Rav4 was a very hot commodity, especially during the pandemic in the last few years. There's not too many of them ever just sitting on dealership lots. Now more than ever, of course, but even now, they're still moving that metal because of that bearable price point. The hybrid, great fuel economy. It's just a very reliable platform for so many people. And there's just a lot of name brand recognition that has followed that RAV4 platform in general, right? So if you remember, during the pandemic, it wasn't uncommon to see them coming with a $10,000 up to $50,000 over MSRP. I wish I was kidding, nearly doubling the price tag of it. So a very hot commodity, and for good reason, but that is number 8. And number 9 should come as no surprise to you as well. It's the Porsche 911. The Porsche 911, especially those higher trimmed examples like the GT3, GT3 RS, being able to get one of those anywhere close to MSRP was dang near impossible throughout the last few years, and quite frankly, it still is. But because of that, we're seeing just under 54% of its original MSRP being maintained in residual value 5 years down the road. I would argue that even a little bit higher than that, but I think they're bulking in all the trims underneath that 911 umbrella there. So number 9, Porsche 911. Number 10 on the list, I don't really disagree with, because it is a little bit more of a niche vehicle. It is the Toyota Supra. The GR Supra is said to maintain 53.7% of its original MSRP 5 years later, right? I think it's only been out about 5 years, right? Or roughly, okay? So because of that, we are only going off its original data, and well, that vehicle itself hasn't changed too tremendously over the last 5 years, and that kind of aids to its benefit when it comes to residual. Same goes for like the Toyota 4Runner. You know, they get long in the tooth, and you hold these vehicles without huge changes. When we see vehicles like the Chevy Silverado, GMC Sierra, Ford F-150 series, they're constantly changing them dramatically over like 3-year periods. And because of that, it really adversely impacts the previous generation that doesn't have all the newest and latest bells and whistles, right? So the Toyota GR Supra, that makes sense. They haven't changed it that much. They do now have a manual. That's, I think, an important note to make here. But overall, 53.7% of its original MSRP. Now that you've heard KBB's top 10, let me provide you with my top 10. I'm basing this off of a lot of personal transactions. If you followed the channel for a while, you know I've purchased, bought and sold many vehicles here on the channel, as well as offered a nationwide auto brokerage service. So I've called thousands of dealerships. I have a pretty firm grasp on what the market is at large and what vehicles are going to retain the best residual value based on 2025 models. So let's get into it. Just know that although I did rack and stack these 1 through 10 in my personal opinion, they are neck and neck. So many of them are right neck and neck where you can easily argue one way or the other. So starting from the bottom of my list, I'm gonna start with the Ford Bronco Raptor. If you heard from KBB's list, I think they're number 5. I personally believe it is probably the 10th best vehicle to buy right now in 2025. If this were 2023 or even 2024, I'd argue against it. But right now, you are seeing $22,000 to $29,000 off of MSRP on a brand new Ford Bronco Raptor. $22,000 to $29,000 off. That brings that price tag, although astronomical in nature originally, it brings it down to a little bit more of a bearable figure for what you're getting. It is an incredible vehicle, but with that discount, you can easily get one between that $70,000 to $80,000 price point, which is very realistic for how much vehicle you're getting, in my opinion. So if you buy that, I don't think you're going to lose your rear end come 3-5 years down the road. It will always be a special vehicle. And number 9 is the Lexus LX700H Overtrail. I know I've started with 2 very expensive examples here, but hear me out. The LX 700H Overtrail is right around $114,000, $115,000. A huge price point to pay, of course. You're not going to get much of a discount on them right now because they're very low production numbers behind this vehicle at large. But if you look at what you're getting here, it truly is the real Land Cruiser. It's based on the LC300 series. It's a very well overbuilt vehicle, built out of Japan, triple locked. A triple locked Lexus, that's insane. So I do firmly believe that those vehicles, especially the Overtrail trim, which is again a very low production example trim, I think those are going to hold value exceptionally well. Not to mention offer you tremendous peace of mind throughout your ownership, right? So many of those vehicles are notorious. The real Land Cruiser is notorious for going 20, 25 plus years with minimal maintenance and minimal headache throughout ownership. So number 9, LX700H Overtrail. Moving to number 8 would be the Toyota Camry. Although we no longer get a naturally aspirated V6 option in it, they only come with the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. But between that realistic price point, between $30,000 and $38,000, depending on what trim you get, and that phenomenal fuel economy, they just make sense. Right? So had they been in the high 40s, mid 50s range, you're definitely going to lose your rear end on it. But being right around that $30,000 point, you can drive it for 100,000 plus miles and still sell it without totally losing your rear end, in my opinion. Now, I think a lot of you are going to disagree with me on my number 7 here, but I'm going to say the Nissan Frontier Pro 4X in particular. The Nissan Frontier Pro 4X, you can get it anywhere from $42,000 to $48,000, depending on how it's spec'd, what it's coming with exactly. But Nissan generally offers great incentivized interest rates as well as pretty large discounts on them. So it's not unheard of to get one in the high $30,000 range. And at the end of the day, it really does live true to the whole simplicity, reliability, and affordability. You get the 3.8 liter naturally aspirated V6 underneath the hood. It's just a very raw, simplistic vehicle. And we just no longer see that, especially within the mid-size pickup truck range, the Chevy Colorado, the Toyota Tacoma, you name it, everything's just coming with a smaller displacement 4-banger underneath the hood, a turbocharged 4-banger or a hybridized 4-banger. At least with Nissan, you're getting a naturally aspirated platform that's proven at this point. Moving to number 6, I would say the brand new Lexus GX550 Overtrail is a good option when it comes to residual. Again, for similar reasons compared to the LX700H Overtrail, it is a little bit more of a niche vehicle. The price point is high. We're talking high 70s, low 80,000 if it's Overtrail or Overtrail Plus. But that vehicle there, it doesn't force you to have a hybridized 4-banger, right? It has a turbocharged V6 underneath the hood, and well, at the end of the day, it's still a Lexus, and you can still offer you a tremendous level of peace of mind. The design cues, I would argue, are much nicer comparatively to the Toyota Land Cruiser. We're getting a buggy feature. Getting a buggy feature. Dad. What do you got, dude? Dribble, 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 dribble! Hey, nice! One more point with the GX550 is just such a rugged, unique design, right? You just don't see SUVs that look quite like that. And because of that, people are pretty wildly obsessed over it, and for good reason. Not to mention the production numbers on those, the volume on them is pretty low, and that helps with residual. If they're not pumping out a ton of them, well, that allows that resale value to be much higher because, well, there's not that many on the road. Moving to number 5, I would choose the Subaru Outback Wilderness Edition. I'm not wildly excited about Subarus, but I do appreciate a lot about the brand. For starters, out of all vehicle manufacturers, Subaru's seen the smallest MSRP price hike since 2019. Since the beginning of the pandemic, they've seen a 28% MSRP price hike across the entire brand, whereas the average across all vehicle manufacturers is right around that 42% since 2019. Then you have some manufacturers like Jeep who hiked up 54%, right? So I applaud them for seeing the smallest price hikes. Granted, to be fair, there hasn't been that much change to the powertrains within Subarus, let's face it, but I appreciate the design cues of the Wilderness Edition. It's a little bit more off-road oriented. I think it makes it special enough to maintain value better than the other trimmed Outbacks in particular. So number 5, Subaru Outback Wilderness Edition. Moving to number 4 would be the Ram TRX. If you've been following the news at all, you know that the Ram TRX with the supercharged V8 is coming back. The Ram TRX is coming back in 2026, which I feel bad for some of our folks who ended up buying the 2024 Ram TRX Final Edition. Unfortunately, it's no longer the final edition, right? Now there might be a final edition here in 2026. Let's see what happens. But the fact that we're now able to get the supercharged V8 pickup truck again, it's probably not going to be too long-lived. It'll probably live this administration, maybe another 2 or 3 years, and then it's going to go away again, and likely forever that time, right? So after we get the final edition Ram TRX, it'll go away. But the fact that it is special, right? There's only the Ford Raptor R with the 5.2-liter supercharged V8 as its main competition, right? Otherwise, the majority of Ford F-150 Raptors come with the 3.5-liter EcoBoost twin-turbo V6 option, right? So the Ram TRX is going to maintain that special factor for many years to come, and I do firmly believe, although they come at a high price point, it will remain special, and that residual value will come back higher after it's gone, right? So after it's 2 or 3 years long gone, then that value is going to start creeping up. And to be fair here with my list, although that Ram TRX is not available here in 2025, I do believe we'll start to see those order banks open up toward the end of 2025. So technically speaking, you're going to be able to get it this year. Moving to number 3 would be the Toyota Rav4, in particular the Rav4 Prime, right? Unlike Toyota SUVs like the Land Cruiser, Sequoia, the 4Runner, and the trucks like the Tundra and Tacoma, unlike those vehicles, the hybridized smaller displacement motor makes sense in a Toyota Rav4, right? It makes sense. People buy the Rav4 for excellent fuel economy. That's why they get it, right? Small, subcompact SUV, people love that. Not to mention combining that with the fact that that Rav4 nameplate is so iconic at this point, has a phenomenal reputation. I do believe that that will maintain its residual for many years to come. So number 3, Toyota Rav4 Prime. Moving to number 2, I would say the Ford F-150 Raptor 37 Performance Package is a very, very safe bet. Historically speaking, Ford F-150 Raptors have held value extremely well. I mean, look at the people who bought like a 2017 Ford F-150 Raptor. They drove it for probably 3 or 4 years and still sold it for dang near what they paid for it originally. Obviously, a part of that equation is MSRPs have continuously risen due to inflation, and the cost of things in general, but I feel like F-150 Raptors have really developed a phenomenal reputation with being the ultimate Baja truck, even more so compared to the Ram TRX. I'm not saying that F-150 Raptor R on purpose, because still, even right now, here in 2025, the Raptor R is coming with a pretty substantial markup on them. They still have anywhere between a $10,000 and $30,000 markup over MSRP. MSRP in the Raptor R is $115,000-ish, $114,000. But when you start tacking on $10,000, $20,000 over that, it does not make sense anymore. The value is going to maintain high, but not the time to buy it this year. I would give that one a couple more years and let MSRP become that price tag for it, and then that will make sense. But for now, the 37 Performance Package, you can easily get anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 off MSRP. MSRP on a 37 is right around 93, 94 grand. So if you can go get one for $86,000-ish, that's a good investment, I think. A puppy dog feature. Go boy, buddy. Go boy. Good girl. Hi. And now for my number 1. A lot of you are going to maybe disagree with me on this, okay? But I do firmly believe if you were to buy a Honda Passport this year, in particular a Trailsport Elite, if you're able to get one of those for right around that MSRP point of $54,000, $55,000, I do believe, given that type of vehicle, it's a very rugged looking design on it. It still comes with a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6, sporting I think 285 horsepower and 262 torque. Nothing more than what you need, right? And that there is going to offer tremendous peace of mind, especially coming from a very reputable nameplate like Honda. So Honda Passport, I do firmly believe if you can get one and get a Trailsport Elite, you can probably drive it for a couple of years without losing your bacon on it. So let me know if you think that's too far-fetched. I think a lot of people are very excited about it. The only one downside of the Passport is, of course, it's going to be wildly marketed and likely wildly mass produced, right? There's going to be a ton of them everywhere. So that might be a factor in the residual, but people are going to continuously buy it because it is a very nice, reliable platform. And it's affordable at the end of the day compared to the competition, compared to a 4Runner Charity Pro that would cost you over $68,000. So number 1, Honda Passport. What do you think? And before I wrap up here, some of you might be thinking, what about the Jeep Wrangler? The Jeep Wrangler has historically always been on KBB's top 10 highest resale value list. But as of late, the last few years, I mean, the quality of Jeep in particular, the quality of many vehicles underneath this Stellantis umbrella has gone down tremendously. And because of that, the reputation of the brand has gone down tremendously. And if you walk any Jeep dealership lot, you're going to see lines upon lines of unsold inventory, unsold Jeep Wranglers just sitting there of every color, every trim, just sitting there unsold. And because of that, them being massively overproduced, them not selling successfully brand new, and the fact that the quality and reputation has gone down tremendously, it's no longer on the top 10. All right, guys, we'll wrap up the video there. As always, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune into these videos. If you found any value in it whatsoever, I do respectfully request that you please consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a lot, and it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your thoughts are on my top 10 list, as well as KBB's list. What are we missing? Thanks for watching.